Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of Three Live Canes. As always, I am Chris, right there in that box. That's Bill down there in that box. That's Steve-O, here to talk to you guys about another week in Miami Hurricanes football. And Steve-O, if there was ever a fortuitous week, this is that week, Steve-O. Miami is in the playoff. There was some negativity about our chances last week. If I'm not mistaken, there was a lot of thumbs down when the possibilities of making it, and my slightly off-centered thumbs down turned out to be the closest prediction to being accurate. But hey, all is well that ends well, and Miami finds themselves among the bracket to play potentially for a national championship, the final 12 teams, and knocked out of that is Notre Dame, a fact that we will talk about for quite a bit. Now, Bill said he is not a smart. I'll take that off. It's just been rolling through all of our shows apparently for the past week. Well, I'll take that if I can find it. There it is. Let's get Bill off of there for a second. But if you guys look at the second to last banner on there, it's a very strange one. I'll leave that alone. But Miami's in the playoff. Before we get to talking all the football stuff, we'll just go around and see how everybody's doing. So, Bill, how are we doing tonight?
More than big chilling. What a difference a week makes. I'm known as kind of the negative one, but Sunday at maybe like 11:45, 11:50, I was going out to eat for my dad's birthday lunch. I had my kids with me, and I looked at my 5-year-old. He has no idea what's going on. I said, "Hudson, I think we're going to the playoffs." And he just said, "What?" I was like, "I think we're going to the playoffs. I got a feeling." And then, about 45 minutes later, there we are. So, unexpected, especially kind of how it played out with, Bam and all that. But couldn't be happier. Another, step forward for this program under Mario. And the trajectory is constantly pointing up, within this program. So we'll get into all that. I don't want to, go too deep, but I got some thoughts on Notre Dame, but I'll hold it.
Yeah, we got plenty of time to talk about that. Steve, how are we feeling?
I'm more than big vibing. It's great. It's been great football, obviously, even without us playing a game. Just loving it. I've been having a great week. Then the news drops. I just don't have it on because I have a green shirt on. I ain't feel like changing or looking for a
Put it on, Steve.
one.
Put it on.
Nah, I'll be
like a floating head.
That's okay. It's funny.
Yeah, nah. So I can't complain. I've been just great workout sessions, good route sessions, just good football. Just happy every time I go to the park. They ask me, "Damn, how you think about the Canes?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro. We in." I was watching it with my fam. When they put Bam at 9, I was worried. I was like, "Yo, okay, this has to be the head-to-head versus Notre Dame." But just the one thing Notre Dame has said is they don't think they like. What's the point of the Tuesday shows then if you're just going to do it at the end how you want to do it? Which I agree with them because there was no reason for it, to be honest with you, when it comes to what their prior rankings were, which is why we were all upset because we were like, "Hell, how aren't we close enough to them to do the head-to-head?" We literally had to get 9 and 10 with them. 10 and 11 with them. But yeah, I'm happy. Playoffs, baby. I'm already looking at Texas A&M film. They're all 22. I think we could make some noise. And make some noise. I ain't gonna talk about Ohio State. Just straight Texas A&M. But we in the dance. Coach Bill over there with the hat back, already talking about the trajectory of this program. I mean, yeah, this is year 4, making the playoffs. Yeah, we didn't win the ACC. That was a thing that we controlled pieces of that. Yeah, the ACC had a crazy tiebreaker, but we still lost those games to Louisville and SMU. So we can still control what we can control. However, rebounding, still finishing the season strong, which we've seen Canes team in the past fall apart, but finishing in such an emphatic fashion that the committee does put you above Notre Dame and into the playoffs. So I'm just thankful. I really thought they were going to screw us. My whole family, we were all watching. My girl, we was chilling. We gave off a CANES Canes chant like 3 times. It was. I'm gonna keep rambling.
No worries. Plenty of time to ramble today. I do want to make a point. We've been joined by Aggie Jim 69, which hilarious name, sure. I will say this, Aggie Jim. The majority of this show today, hear what we're going to do. This is your first time watching the show. Like, we like to make jokes, make light of things, have a good time. The majority of this show is going to be a good time directed at making fun of Notre Dame, celebrating Miami, making it into the dance, as Steve-O pointed out. Not a lot of big breakdown stuff, personally. I mean, Steve-O, I think, is aching to do that because that's what Steve-O does. He's a true professional. I'm not. I'm here to make fun of Notre Dame for as long as I'm allowed to do that. So you could feel free to get into arguments with people in the chat. Not going to be a highlight of the show, but feel free. If you got some funny things that you really have to use, I might save them for next week's show. That's when it's going to be a little bit more like aggressiveness. Like, look, we're joined by the Notre Dame athletic director in the chat. So, like, we have a lot of opportunities here to go directly at Notre Dame. So, Aggie Jim, I appreciate you tuning in. A lot of the more anti-A&M stuff next week. All right, but just to cover the bases for everybody, everyone is on the same page about what we're out here to do. Mo Canes, shout out Steve-O and Chris for always believing Bill doubted us.
I never doubted
down.
I doubted
putting
the
it back up.
process.
Putting it back up. Put it back up. All right. But thank you guys for joining the show. We appreciate you guys. This is 3 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.
Hard dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one. Who else?
Who else but Sean Taylor? Who else but us here on a Wednesday? And who else but the Canes in the playoff? And I got to say, Rambo, I mean, that's an excellent decision on his part. An excellent decision on his part. Got his playoff tickets. Girlfriend can't get a Christmas gift. She's not, I mean, I think she'll understand. Like, Christmas comes every year. There's always another Christmas. But the playoffs are right now. We got to focus on winning these next 4 games and doing some damage out there. So she'll figure it out. She'll be okay. Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Work some overtime and get that money back. Utah Jim 69.
Yeah, that's why I was dying laughing. That's my cousin.
He's back. But yeah, a lot of good stuff to talk about. Like, first and foremost, and you guys both mentioned it, so I'll mention it too. I'm sitting there watching the show with my son. We're going to team by team, and I'm trying to explain to him. And, you know, we get to, I'm like, he keeps saying, like, I think Miami will make it. There's like 6 more spots. And I'm like, dude, there's not 6 more spots. There's like 2 spots Miami could be in. And he's like, nah, but Oklahoma played like, and Oklahoma, like, that doesn't matter. I was trying to explain it doesn't matter. There's 2 spots. And we get to those 2 spots, and Bama popped up first. I had honestly bought into a lot of the negativity that was thrown about Alabama. I don't know why I did. I just got caught up in the media hype because I figured that was the best thing for the Canes, that they got beat so bad, because I really thought that Alabama needed to win that game to put us in the best position. So when they got annihilated, I was like, all right, well, maybe it'll flip the other way. Hopefully it flips the other way. So when I saw them pop up at 9, I said to myself, I think we got it. I think we got it because we're right next to them. Because there was, when they put BYU and that other teams like receiving votes like section right before they announced those final 2, I knew we were next to Notre Dame. Like, I knew without a doubt we were next to Notre Dame. They absolutely dropped BYU for losing that game. So I said, if it's us and sitting next to them, they could never justify not putting us over them. It's impossible to justify it no matter what other stupid metric Notre Dame wanted to use. I mean, that thing popped up. Jubilation. And getting to see the path, too. Like, getting to play Texas A&M, which is, you know, they're a good team. But I think it's a team that Miami matches up well against. And it's a team that has shown flaws. And as good as some of their guys have been, and I like Marcel Reed. Like, I like the talent he has. But a guy that has shown flaws as well. So I think we match up really an interesting way. And in a lot of ways, very similar. Guys like Casey Concepcion, a dude that we've seen before, like talented player and all those kinds of guys. We'll talk about that more later. And then getting the chance to play Ohio State in round 2 if we were to win. We'll talk about that down the road. But I mean, what Miami fan doesn't want to play Ohio State and have been a high leverage situation, right? That's always going to be floating in the back of our minds. But just a really great opportunity for Miami to get where they need to go. But the biggest talking point, obviously, going to you guys, has since that day and really like in the hours after until now has been the reaction of Notre Dame, right? Because the reaction of Notre Dame was quick, it was whiny, and it was very loud out to the world. So I just want to get your thoughts on that, about what happened immediately after the fact. But big picture, we're going to talk about what happens with Miami and like trajectory of the program, all that stuff. But what was your first reaction to hearing the Notre Dame fallout? Steve, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, because Bill's gonna have more than me. One,
Bill's just that
is definitely soft. That was a reaction because they have NBC as their partner, so it's more than just them being soft. It's them, not wanting to give ESPN money because they pull in all these viewers when they only had like one top 20 view game. So it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. All the other teams said, let's play. We got guys that love football. That's what we recruit people to do, to play football. So I understand opting out of a game if your entire team's in the portal, but if you could go, why not? That's memories for your team. It's memories for the rest of your life, and you're there to play football. I mean, that's 15 extra practices to develop, young guys moving forward for you. That's going to help you, and you're going to lean on in spring. So I just don't get it. It's a whiny fit. I don't think that ESPN is going to miss Notre Dame at all. And then they backed themselves into a corner by lashing out against the ACC and trying to talk with the Big 12. And now the Big 12's commissioner came out and flat out said he's not like rocking with it because how you came at Phillips, and he even said how the ACC saved you guys in 2020. How dare they campaign for their own team that beat us head to head? Like, it's just whiny baby. Like, there's just nothing you could do if you're defending Notre Dame's actions. They could believe what they want to believe. I do think they should have been in over Bama. I'm with that 100%. How can you say BYU gets dropped because they get blown out in a championship game and not chop Alabama? They had -3 rushing yards. Like, come on, bro. That team is soft. They can't run the ball. Florida State showed us what that team really was. Yeah, they got on a roll earlier in the season, but when you get physical, you get out physical them. So they definitely were out physical versus Georgia. They came up ready to play. Obviously, it's Georgia. They're one of the better teams in the country. But if you're in the playoffs, I mean, you're expected to compete with these better teams. And Alabama just showed you that they can't, and you dropped BYU for it. So, I mean, I thought it should have been Miami 9, Notre Dame 10. There's 5 SEC teams in the playoffs, bro. ESPN, come on. We know it's in broad daylight. Like, it's in broad daylight. So everybody's onto it. But I'm just happy that we're in. That's all I care about. We made it to the playoffs. This program is going in a different direction. I expect us to get even better over the offseason with some portal additions because no matter what happens moving forward, we just got a playoff berth. That's going to get people excited that, again, year 4 playoff berth is big. And then we'll play Notre Dame again in November.
Yep. Right. It feels like it's, especially now, right around the corner, another opportunity to chance to play them and beat them again. Wonderful. But Bill, what are your thoughts on Notre Dame's reaction?
So on this very program last week, I called Steve Sarkisian a whiny little bitch. And that pales in comparison to what Notre Dame has been doing. I actually almost felt bad that I said that about him. I don't really care because they're a 9-3 team that has nowhere near the playoff. But the initial reaction, the Notre Dame. We've been battling Notre Dame fans on Twitter for a while. So I'll kind of start there. So a couple. Well-timed GIFs and just some of their responses. Basically, the whole theme of the comments leading up to it was like, "Oh, we're in. You just have to worry about Notre Dame." So that you just have to worry about Bama. So obviously that turned out. I do agree. With Steve-O, I think that Notre Dame should have been out. They're just haven't been playing good football. I don't know how.
Bama,
Bama. I'm sorry, yeah, Bama. I don't know how Oklahoma avoided the conversation because they're not very good either. Those were the two teams that I wanted most in round one. Because not only did I think we could win those games, that we could kind of win those games convincingly. I'm gonna show a quick kind of story, and I was texting Chris screenshots. My favorite Notre Dame fan kind of jumped in the mentions after. It was like, "Oh, you won't come play us in South Bend in the winter." I was like, "Why would we play you? Like, we're playing Texas A&M in a few weeks." He goes, "You won't come play us in the snow." So I was like, he was like talking like I would make this decision. So I told him I would like bring it up at the board of trustees meeting that we play you, but only in the snow. And then he like said something crazy like, "Oh, like you're not allowed to go for two." So my response was, "Okay, I'll text Mario that we can't go for two, but only after getting the board of trustees approval for this game that we can only play in the snow." And then he kind of realized how sarcastic and how idiotic he sounded.
Guy was struggling.
Yeah,
struggling.
The one thing that I can't understand, and maybe you guys can answer this, is that the Notre Dame AD is like, "Oh, the ACC was attacking us." When did that happen? When did the ACC ever put Notre Dame down? Like, was there a specific thing other than, I mean, I know ACC Network replayed that game 800 times, which is funny, but like he was talking
ESPN too. It's not even the ACC that does that.
Yeah, but I truly don't understand that argument from them. Like, they've done permanent damage. I was like, what was said? What did they do? They tried to prop up Miami. I don't think they ever put down Notre Dame. Can anybody actually answer that?
There was a post that they made
showing tweets from people online. It's not like they did anything.
Yeah. So I didn't think there was actually any Notre Dame slander coming from the ACC.
No other conference is going to save Notre Dame with that same thing the ACC does.
Yeah, and I saw some of the kind of like the Notre Dame fans like, "Oh, we can destroy your conference." It's already destroyed. It's dead. It's dying. It's on its last breath anyway. So I just thought it was a lot of just nonsense. I get there.
This one. I think it was this one.
Okay. Oh.
They basically said like Miami should move up because I think that one, I saw that one, and there might have been one more that was kind of like in the same vein.
But I mean, I don't think any reasonable person would call that an attack on the football program, pointing out a head-to-head win.
No, they were totally unreasonable.
Yeah, no, it's fine, baby.
Out of this whole thing, that's probably what I had the biggest beef with. I get being upset, right? This entire process, right, from the committee has been a disaster.
Too. Another one I kind of like it. Same thing, head to head. Every other head to head.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been a disaster. It's been a disaster enough where people are calling for the ranking show to be canceled, like leading up to it. So Notre Dame, I think they have a legitimate beef to be upset, but it's not with Miami. It's not with the ACC. If you are upset with someone, it's got to be the SEC, ESPN media machine. But kind of to decline the bowl game, I thought was just childish. Especially because you're going to get a good opponent in BYU. You have you have a young quarterback, right? That could probably just continue to use get game reps. Jeremiah Love's not playing, but I'm sure they have other running backs. It was just kind of the whole just kind of chaos. And I think if they could probably go back, they would probably do it a little bit differently because they're the laughing stock of college football. Maybe not so much now with what's going on at Michigan, but we'll kind of see how that plays out. But
bad one.
I don't even want to touch that.
No, that's a rough one.
But I think it's just bad luck. And Notre Dame, especially kind of Marcus Freeman went from like the super likable coach. Like you could almost everyone hates Notre Dame, but like you kind of like look the other way a little bit because Marcus Freeman's so likable. But they are back to being probably the most hated team by everybody, not just Miami. So. Big crybabies. Their offseason starts early. They got to worry about Marcus Freeman going to the Giants too, by the way.
I mean,
he was the betting favorite last I saw.
I mean, honestly, if your team goes 10-2 and you don't make the playoffs, maybe you should think about leaving. Maybe that Notre Dame has reached their peak. I mean, if we're talking about a team that has won one national championship in the last
50 years.
50? Yeah, I think it's
no,
like
the last time they won a national championship, I was 2 months old.
yeah,
I'm
88.
37.
I think before that was like 77. So it's like one national title in the last 49 years or something crazy. Like so.
Notre Dame. We have all this rich tradition and history. Them boys, like in
Yeah,
the
it was
50s.
it was the '88 season, but they won the game in January of '89. So I was 2 months old.
Yeah,
And
I mean
I'm an old ass man right now.
yeah, like we're talking about a team. If we trace Miami's 5 national titles, it's 83. Trace Notre Dame's 5 national titles, the last 5, it's 1941. It's like pre-World War. They won one during World War II because most of the teams lost their players to the war. Like that's what we're talking about. Like they beat like West Bishop's College of Tennessee in the Cincinnati. Like that's the kind of thing we're talking about. So I mean, a lot of history, a lot of tradition, and now the tradition will be them as whiny little babies as they missed the opportunity to win a national championship. I mean, we saved them We saved them from like what, winning a game, getting blown out by Ohio State, or making it to the Natty and getting walloped again. Like we saved them another like big piece of embarrassment, another like championship opportunity lost for Notre Dame. So, if anything, now they get to go home, they get to relax. They don't. I mean, we could have sent them to the Pop-Tart Bowl. Those guys could have gotten really nice Pop-Tart Bowl gear, little swag from Kellogg's. That would have been nice to spread around the holiday season.
Pop-Tart Bowl is actually like
Not bad.
It's not as prestigious because it's the name, but it's like a good matchup, right? It's
yeah,
like
the name brutal kills it. Obviously.
Yeah.
So what did you?
I think it's cool, bro. I honestly just was mad that we were in it because we had Cam Ward, but I mean, subjectively, it's one of the better bowl games when you're not in the playoffs. It's probably the best or second best the bowl game, just matchup wise and location wise. You're in Orlando. Your team gets to go to Epic World, freaking Universal, Islands of Adventure, Volcano Bay, whatever they want to do, honestly. So I would think any team would want to do that. I mean, imagine everybody's playing in these cold places. You can go play in 70-degree weather in the sun.
It's
hit the beach. Like, yeah, if I'm Notre Dame, I'm a kid in Notre Dame. I'm like, yo, I want to go to Orlando. What's wrong with y'all boys?
Has it always been? Yeah, it's always had kind of a stupid name. It was Champ Sports Bowl, Russell Athletic Bowl,
Russell
Tangerine
Athletic
Bowl.
Bowl wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's this bowl game, but it's never had like a really like good. It was the
won it in
Blockbuster Bowl,
2016. It was the
Camping World Bowl, Mazda Bowl, Florida Tourism Bowl. Like,
oh my god, that was a name.
It's a lot of stupid names, but it is. It's a higher level bowl. You're absolutely right. But it is what it is. It's Notre Dame ultimately like they get pushed out by the committee making the right decision ultimately with regards to the matchup between the two of them. Obviously, the Bama factor comes into play. Bama was never going to get screwed out of this. If a team had to be screwed out of it, it was most likely going to be Notre Dame. Like, not screwed out. If there was a team that was going to be taken out based upon like any sort of logical factor, it was them because they had the least argument. Miami had a very obvious argument of being like the head-to-head winner over one of the other two teams. Like we won that, and on the side of Alabama, I mean, say what you want, but Alabama has the biggest wins pretty significantly, like over the other two. Miami's biggest win is over number 10, whatever you want to call them, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's biggest other win is over number 19 USC and then number 74 Navy, whatever. So they don't have that, but Bama has big wins. So it was always going to buoy them a little bit.
What's kind of not ironic, but about the final rankings is BYU and Bama, they both got smacked, right? But Bama didn't drop, but BYU did. And then kind of just the whole process of how this played out is the committee essentially said we thought Miami should have been ahead of Notre Dame this entire time, but they couldn't because BYU is better than Miami, but BYU isn't better than Notre Dame. So kind of just back to the kind, it's like the worst process committee ever. The more they talk, the more I think people kind of lose faith in it, even though we all kind of know what this is. It's the SEC Invitational with a few wins just to keep everybody happy.
And
But-
and the bit about the show every week, like to that point, like to keep everyone happy, like the show is obviously stupid. Like there's no reason to do the show. Like you want to do polls, fine, do polls, but to do this every week is absurd. Like, there's no reason to do it week 10 or whatever it starts. Like it can wait. It can wait until the last thing, then be like, bang, here's our teams. Like the national like association that does makes the basketball tournament, they don't put out every week, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be this, maybe this. It's just at the end of it, they're just like, all right, here's our teams. Let's go. Let's go to war. And they go from there.
They did. I mean, their cardinal sin was putting Miami so far down in the initial one because they expected Miami to lose again, and everything would have been happy in their world. But they shouldn't be projecting, and that's kind of what the fatal flaw was. So I would expect some probably significant changes. I mean, the playoffs going to change anyway. It's probably going to go to 16 teams. Hopefully it does, because then Notre Dame doesn't get that automatic qualifier, whatever the hell that was. That was like almost like a media dump right in the middle of their bitch fest.
They were saving that. They were saving that for the right moment, for sure.
But yeah, can you imagine being a team that like Notre Dame is 12? You're 11. There's one spot, and they get a spot ahead of you, like because of I still really don't understand that either. Like, why would anybody sign off on that from any conference?
I don't. That's what I like. They were like,
it has nothing to do with the conferences.
Like that's the thing. If it was an ESPN thing, and ESPN pushed it, that's the only group that would have pushed this to make any sense. Because there's no reason why a conference would agree to it unless it was an ESPN push thing. It had to be an ESPN move. They were like, hey, we want to guarantee Notre Dame is in. Not that they couldn't individually like push they just make a guarantee, and Notre Dame and ESPN had that deal going. That's the only possible thing that makes any sense.
Yeah, no conferences did, and that's why no conferences are going to want to pick up Notre Dame and give them that independent 5 games. What, for them to steal a playoff spot from one of their teams? Like, they're not going to do it. I mean, they're going to let Notre Dame schedule AAC teams and MAC teams, and that's it. Like, yeah, they're going to have 1 or 2 big games a year, just like this year. They're going to find games. They just signed a home-and-home with Auburn. They're going to find, a series or 2, but it's just not enough over the course of the season. They're going to have 2 big games and then play 8-10 teams like they did this year. I mean, obviously, they can maybe be a little better teams. If you don't catch Syracuse with a lacrosse player at quarterback or something like that, but it's still relatively going to be always a weak schedule, to be honest with you, unless you give ACC full membership or the thing, like, because it's hard to predict who's going to be really good in the beginning of the year or things like that, or prior season, but you have to schedule against some of the best in that conference, or else you will get left out. So I think that automatic thing is just going to turn even every conference away from just letting Notre Dame. If they're not going to be a full member, they're only going to play 5 games, and they're going to take a playoff spot, because if they beat any of our teams, they're going to get credit for that, and we're not going to get no money from that. So does it make sense for the Big Ten, the SEC, even the Big 12 to do that? No, because they don't move the needle as much as they think they do. They really don't. I mean, yeah, they're wealthy. They have a good thing going for them. I think they had the perfect gig going for them. They just should have beat Texas A&M or Miami. I mean, if you only have to win 1 or 2 big games a year and you're guaranteed in, you have the easiest path in the playoffs than everybody. So, I mean, I just don't know why they're crying so much.
They're lucky because we're playing them in November next year. Typically, it's a lot harder to get kind of those bigger matchups later in the year because everyone's in the heart of their conference schedule. They don't want, kind of that bigger out of conference game kind of taken away from that. So I think that's probably something to keep an eye on.
I will say to that point about like Miami being like the middle of the conference schedule. Like I know that when Pitt played them, Narduzzi, that moron, came out and said we could lose by 100. Who cares? Like that whole stupid thing that he came out and said.
He was right though.
He was right. Yes, he was right. But the fact that he came out and said that, like, moronic, because obviously, like, it would inspire your team there, dude. But that aspect of it is interesting for Miami, because I do think that before we get to next year, based upon what happened, the ACC will have a significant change to their tiebreaker system. Because the ACC, with the risk of being, do I believe that there was a thing that the ACC being shut out was a non-starter? So they put Miami in because of that? No. But am I naive enough to think that there wasn't a conversation in there like, hey, can we really have Tulane in this thing and James Madison in this thing and not have an ACC team? Do I think that came up in the conversation? Absolutely it did. Impossible that it didn't come up in the conversation. So the ACC walking away with Duke as the ACC champ, 8-5 Duke.
Shout out to Manny.
Shout out Manny. Hey, Manny winning that game.
Parlay that into the Michigan job.
Maybe, right? Manny winning that game definitely gave us a better opportunity, a better chance than him losing that game. So Manny, so like I saw a lot of Duke fans like, we did it with Manny, or FSU fans really. They did it with Manny and he couldn't do it with Miami. Like, who cares, my guy? Like, that helped us more than I think a lot of other things that happened over the course of this past weekend. So good on Manny for doing it, but it's also embarrassing for the ACC that you didn't have your number 11 team in the country, 10-2 Miami, playing in the ACC title game because of your stupid tiebreakers, because these teams don't play each other. It's embarrassing. It's just stupidity in an age where making the playoffs is really all that matters to top-level college football at this point. So, really dumb. But
yeah, and I think they came. Was it yesterday? They said they're going to reevaluate it, so they'll get it fixed. That scenario probably won't happen again. But even conference championships as a whole are already devalued. I feel like that's probably the next big kind of domino to fall is those conference championships. The Big Ten had number 1 versus number 2 dream matchup, right? For a conference championship, and it didn't matter. It matters to Indiana, right? They wanted that's great. I'm not trying. It's not slander to them, but both teams are 1 and 2 seeds in the playoffs. And that's kind of where the focus is now. I think outside of the teams that win those conference champions, I don't think it really moves the needle that much. So I think at some point we'll probably have like almost like conference mini tournaments to get into the playoffs if they kind of go that route where maybe the 2 and 3 ACC teams play kind of for that second spot in there. But I felt like the conference champion weekend had some really good, interesting matchups. But once those games are over, it's okay. It's about the playoffs. It's Georgia won the SEC. That's great. If they don't do anything in the playoffs, no one's going to care about their SEC title.
Yeah, that's the sucky part about one of the many things about modern college football that kind of sucks, and that's a big part of it. That these teams, what used to matter a lot, now has become this. And we just kind of have to roll on and say, okay, like Indiana winning that game was big for Indiana. But realistically, Ohio State, they looked at it, they're bigger fish to fry. Immediately as the game was over, bigger fish to fry. And they've fried those fish in years past. And it's worked out fine for them. So,
and I'm the most anti-playoff expansion guy. But I would even just say at this point, just get rid of the conference championship games and just have another round of playoffs. At least it'll matter. And
there was a Joel Klatt who, usually is dumb ever since, John Beeson sent him into the shadow realm. But there was he posted what he would do for his tournament or his playoff bracket. And then that first week, the week before the playoffs start, it'd be for example, for the ACC, number 1 plays number 2 for the ACC for the championship and the bye. Number 3 plays number 6 for a spot in the playoff. Remember the 3rd ranked ACC team, 6th ranked ACC team, 4th ranked ACC plays 5th ranked ACC, and Miami, and then ACC sends 4th. But you need 16 teams, and then SEC does something similar. They all do something similar. Then they take the top ranked, like everybody else who's the highest ranked guy after all that shakes out, highest ranked 2 at-larges from there, and go. I think it makes a lot of sense, but I don't know if people will go with it. But I thought that's the cleanest way to do it. You still get your conference champ. The carrot you dangle for them is the bye. Your top 2 teams get in, and then you get 2 more teams in from the conferences. It seems pretty good.
The less at larges, the better, because that eliminates the bias, and it also can hurt Notre Dame, which would just be even funnier as we get further into this thing.
Yeah, for sure. for sure. But so I mean, that's obviously good for Miami that Notre Dame has made it this big stink. So I think everyone knows that this is the right decision based upon all that's happened. But let's talk about the Miami like long-term angle of it, not including because we'll talk about the game itself next week and then what they do to win and all this kind of stuff. But like just the fact that this has worked out for Miami, even when a lot of us were negative and uncertain about this is going to happen. And Steve, you mentioned it before, like the trajectory of the program, just the fact that we're able to say we made it in, we went 10-2 2 years in a row, which a week ago we were like, I can't believe we went 20-4 over the past 2 years and aren't going to make the playoffs either year. Now we went 20-4 over the last 2 years, and we have a playoff appearance on our resume. Like just in terms of like the conversation you have with recruits and portal guys and potential coaches coming in to work or like whatever it is, like how different is that conversation now, Steve-O? Like how much more sway do they have with these guys when they're having these conversations and like, look, this stuff is A, working, and B, getting us closer and closer to that national title?
I mean, 20-4 over your last 24 games is impressive. You know, and you won most of those games in impressive fashion. There wasn't much nail biters this year other than ones we lost. And, you know, there wasn't much nail biters last year with the offense we have other than the ones that we lost when things sputtered. So it's really impressive, honestly, the way that the first year was rough. We all know that. He could have gutted the roster and went the portal way. He tried to do it as a stand-up guy. You know, then a lot of people had hit the door. You know, brought in some guys. It was obviously better in 2023, but still fell way short of expectations. 2024, you know, we lit the world on fire with Camp War, but fell short. And the same show just this time last year. So fast forward now to, again, win 10 games in a Power 4 conference. And, you know, now get a playoff berth and, you know, touch 4 million off the rip just for making it. Nothing about, you know, getting, you know, advancing and, you know, playing for even bigger games. I mean, you just straight up 4 mil off the top just for making it. So that's big for the program. It's just the trajectory. You can't say it's not going up as a recruit. You know, Miami's going to play big games. They're going to be a playoff contender. You know, back-to-back 10-plus win seasons. The recruiting classes, you know, they look like guys you want to come and compete with and play with, guys that you could play for national championships with. And in the portal, it's just going to say, hey, any quarterback who's trying to up their draft stock can come to Miami, and we'll have weapons for you. We'll have a running game that you'll you know, you won't have elsewhere. You'll have you know, a pocket that you won't have elsewhere. It's just showing to be a perfect, you know, destination for quarterbacks. I do hope that we get that's a perfect destination for younger quarterbacks to start getting some of those opportunities. But if you get a portal guy with multiple years of eligibility, I could deal with that. You know, if he beats out, you know, Darian Coleman and Luke Nichols, so be it. It's always going to be a competition. But I would just hope it wouldn't be another one and done. But definitely the quarterback position in the portal has boosted for Miami.
Yep.
Yeah, straight up. It's there's no state tax. Yep. It's the NIL money, and a lot of things are just going well. You can tell recruits that, you know, you can come in and compete for a national championship. You can show them you can come in like CJ Daniels, you can come in like Marion, you can come in like Beck, you can come in like Keontae Scott, you can come in like Ethan O'Connor, you can come in like Xavier Lucas. Like if you can play, we'll play you, and we'll make sure you're in the best position possible. So I really do think that the transfer I guess classes, whatever, is on the up, even though they're already been impressive. I just think we're even a hotter destination once you finally get stamped with a playoff appearance, let alone I think we can win this thing. So let alone if you do that, that's very attractive for older guys trying to do their last hurrah for the NFL and make some good NIL money because we're not broke.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to even like it's always been a conversation. You get to go to Miami. A lot of these guys are older. You're like a 21, 22-year-old kid. You get to go play a season of college ball in Miami. You're getting paid well. Like it's proving to work. going like Keontae Scott. Like, what was his draft stock coming into this season? Like, what was he going to be in the draft? If he went pro or he went somewhere else or he stayed where he was what was he going to be? And now look at him. We're talking about a Thorpe semifinalist, and everyone gets to see that we put him in the exact position he needed to be to succeed. Same thing from like Jacoby Thomas, exact position to succeed. Carson Beck, say what you want about Carson Beck, but people were ragging on him heavy last year. They made fun of us for taking Carson Beck. Another 10-win season for Carson Beck. Another playoff appearance for Carson Beck. There'll be more playoff games for Carson Beck, potentially more playoff wins for Carson Beck. So, like, say what you want about a lot of this stuff, but it's working. And we've all doubted at times. We've all questioned at times. But, I mean, we've been doing this show for a long time, 20-4 over 2 seasons and a playoff appearance. That's as good as we've seen. That's as good as we've seen for sure. Very exciting to see the opportunity come up. Rolexer, thank you very much for the donation. He said, I heard Rudy from Notre Dame has entered the portal. I wouldn't want him.
I think we 20-5. Lucky, I just thought about it because we went 10-3 last year technically because we lost the second half of the Pop-Tart Bowl.
I don't care about that. I'm not it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. I can leave that out. But like regular season, like what games that matter? Good stuff. Oh, Marion and CJ Daniels, other dudes. Stock Row, CJ, proving he's legit. Wiping away all that LSU was supposed to be this, supposed to be that. CJ Daniels wiping away all that LSU time, showing what we were able to accomplish there. But
And Markel Bell at tackle, he's a JUCO. He has an NFL decision to make. Who would have thought about that? Who thought he would have had that decision, when he first got here and he was this big project. I think it's very, validating, internally, as to how, this program has been, rebuilt since Mario got here, especially all those kind of little tweaks that, have been made, along the way, even just kind of how we, approach offensive football. It was, a month ago, right? We thought we were dead in the water because we could only run, halfback dive or inside zone. But then, those little, changes are made. We can kind of debate, who changed what. But, the fact is we started looking like a college offense and, an offense that not only looks the right way, but, guys are having fun. And, right, you see, Malley doing sidearm passes and, some trick plays in there, but just an overall, better level of execution. But I think, just getting to the playoffs, is a nice step. You can't go out there, lay an egg, because then all that outside noise will be validated themselves. But, I think if you go out and you pull it off against Texas A&M, doesn't matter by how much, whether it's by 1, 5, 6 to 10, 100. I think that's that giant step nationally that, okay, this program, I don't want to say is back because that's a cliche, but they're back in the national title like race in that perception, and that goes an even longer way. With the transfers, with the recruiting, with the NIL. So golden opportunity in about 10 days, 9 days to really make a statement nationally.
Miami wins this game. Like, I don't think Miami looked out of place with the teams that are at the top of the national conversation this year. Miami did not look out of place in that top 4 or 5 when we were up there before we lost some games, right? I don't think anyone would think that. I mean, Indiana's sitting up there, and they are very good. They've been very good this year, but I don't think Miami looked out of place up there. Miami wins this game, gets in that final 8, has that game against Ohio State. No one's going to look at this Miami-Ohio State game saying, well, that's going to be a beating. We'll pay attention to these other ones. That's going to be a game that people want to see. And obviously there's a lot of other extra stories from it because of what Ohio State has been able to do and the fact that, every receiver they've had in the past decade, it seems like, is from South Florida, all that. Obviously that conversation is to be had, but I think Miami goes into that game, if they beat Texas A&M, feeling pretty good. The fact that Ohio State picked the Cotton Bowl for their game, that, when I heard that, I was like, all right, I see what you're doing. And then they came out and said, if we played it in Miami, they would have a home field advantage. Playing it in Texas, we really didn't care very much about Texas A&M having a home field advantage. When they came out and said that, I knew that it was that people are thinking about Miami. People are talking about Miami. So, hell of an opportunity. Hell of an opportunity Miami has ahead of us here. But just to wrap it up a little bit here but obviously Texas A&M, just initial thoughts, because we have all next week to talk about it, but just initial thoughts. And Steve, I'll go to you first. You said you already started looking at the all 22s a little bit, but just broad, like 30,000 foot view of A&M and where you think they're good and where you think Miami can explode.
I've caught a couple of their games. They're explosive on offense. I've seen them all year, not expecting to ever play them, to be real with you. They have receiver number 1, Mario Craver, who is fast. He's explosive downfield. Obviously, they have, that's a guy we're not really familiar with. We're really familiar with Concepcion. Obviously, he was at NC State. He was a really good player for them, and that's why he's getting paid a lot of money to go play for Texas A&M. And he's delivered a couple punt return touchdowns, mad receiving touchdowns. He's a threat with the ball in his hands. They have running backs. They have a dual threat quarterback. On the outside looking in, they're definitely a playoff caliber team. Are they one of the better teams in the playoff? I don't think so, but they're definitely a playoff caliber team. We're not catching, one of the G5s coming in. This is a legit team. But they do look like they could be out physicaled. That looks like that's what it looked like in the first half for South Carolina. Credit to them. They flipped that switch at halftime. But that switch did not flip versus Texas. But yeah, they are good at receiver. But to be honest with you, I'm not scared. I seen OJ at the park the other night. Sunday night, working out. He's full go. We're gonna have OJ full go for the playoff game. So yeah, I'm actually very, very excited about that. I mean, I think their receivers are definitely speedy and are gonna make plays. But I think we're 4 deep. I think Damari Brown's physicality is going to give them issues. I think Ethan O'Connor can cover anybody in the country. And, Xavier Lucas has 4.3 speed as well. And then OJ is probably the best athlete or one of the best athletes on the team. And if not, you're looking at 13, who is always an option to put on a guy, especially if Keontae Scott is back. We'll probably see Bryce over the top more. But if he's not, then Bryce is going to man that nickel spot, which he did for the last couple games, and he did it really well. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we get Scott back. Chances on Scott, I say 50-50. You never know. It's 2 weeks. I don't think I should even say what the injury was. But it looks like that's just like a timeline that it's a maybe. I don't know if he'll be 100% or anything like that, or what his availability is going to be. But it definitely is a question lingering. But if not, it's next man up with Bryce. That means Dylan Day is going to have to perform as that third safety, because when you take Bryce from, over the top and put him in the nickel, which is a great solution. However, you're going to have Jacoby Thomas and Poyser, as it. So you're going to have to rotate a safety, eventually. So Dylan Day will need to step up if that's the case.
Yeah. Bill, overall thoughts on A&M?
Yeah, I mean, I do think they're, one of the better teams. I think they're definitely better than, Oklahoma and Alabama. Kind of in this bracket, I kind of have them kind of right next to Oregon in my mind, just because they actually kind of built similar to us, right? Like with the trenches, they have a really good offensive line. I know the tackle, Trey Zuenerzon, I don't know how to say his last name, kind of made some noise talking about Bain. But it turns out like that guy has like the best pass blocking grade, like in the history of PFF or something crazy like that. So it's going to be, a crazy environment. High noon kickoff, which probably is to our advantage. That's not a night game, but kind of everything, they can kind of beat you in different ways, right? Marshall Reed, Siegel said, dual threat quarterback. They got some talent in the backfield. Obviously, the receivers are well known. I almost wish this game could have been played quicker, because I don't think Texas A&M, was kind of playing their best ball right against South Carolina. Kind of got beat up by Texas a little bit, but with multiple weeks off, it's essentially a new season, right? Whether you had a lot of momentum or didn't, that kind of is a wash, and kind of it's a brand new season coming up. So definitely going to be a big challenge, both sides of the ball. But I think this is a game where Heatherman can really show that he deserves that Broyles Award.
I mean, Marcel Reed I like Marcel Reed because he looks like a kid who could really develop and become like a really, really good player. But he also makes a lot of mistakes. So as good as his receivers are, like there's a couple, like obviously in the Texas game, there's some throws he made that were disastrous. That South Carolina game, a big reason why they were so far behind at first was because he was making some throws that he shouldn't make. And as good as their receivers are, like he's missing windows that he probably should hit with the skill set he has on the outside. Now, obviously, if he's playing at the top of his potential, like he was in the latter part of that South Carolina game, then even he's tough to stop with the speed he has and his ability to run and move around a little bit. But if he's not at his best, or if we're forcing him into tough situations, I think Miami can capitalize. I think our defensive secondary is so good and opportunistic, and even so, especially like more recently in the season, towards the end of the season, now that they've gotten more and more comfortable in the system, that I think that we'll have the opportunity to make some big plays on defense and turn momentum if it ever gets switched against us. And as long as the offense does what they're supposed to do, and I mean, like someone said in the chat, Texas has been an awful running team all year, and they went out and they just moved them down the field. Trey Wisner had an excellent game. They even made Manning look like a decent quarterback for like part of the game. I know he's been playing better, but like windows that Archie could hit without problem, and some of those hospital balls he put deep, like they were getting caught. So definitely opportunities there for Miami. This is not a game where you're looking at it. Well, Miami's the last team in from the at-large section, so maybe it's a good. A&M's a good team. Miami's a good team, so it's going to be a hell of a game.
It's going to be, probably the best game of the playoffs, right? Alabama, Oklahoma. It might be close, but that's just two bad teams playing each other. The G5s are going to get curb stomped. So, and if you look back to last year, right, that first round was just full of blowouts, right? The home team, I think, won every game by at least 14 points, if I'm remembering correctly. Right, Clemson hung around with Texas for a little bit, but I think that's all ended up being 14. So, we have a chance to make history as well, kind of be that first, road team to playoff game, especially against an SEC foe, a good SEC foe at that as well. So, just got to enjoy the moment.
Yep. It's a great moment, great opportunity for Miami. First playoff that you guys have been able to be a part of here, and the first we've been able to talk about in however long we've been doing the show, which I forget, but it feels like a long time. So it's great, very exciting for us to get the chance to do that. I don't think I've been as excited for a show like after we beat Notre Dame. I was excited, but this is getting to beat them for a second time this season, and this one in embarrassing fashion. They made their AD come out and basically whine on every single TV channel that would allow him to be on it. It made me very happy. Made me very, very happy. But that'll do it for us. Thank you guys so much for watching the show. We appreciate you as always. Before we get out of here, Bill, final thoughts for the people.
Yeah, we're in the playoffs. The playoff season. It's a different feeling. Kind of thinking back to like what I would feel like if we weren't in the playoffs. Talking about the Pop-Tarts Bowl would be extraordinarily depressing. Although we would have showed up and we would have played it.
We got on that. Got on that bus.
Yeah,
we went up there.
We would have played it, but again, it's just a time to, I guess, just appreciate what we have and how far this program has come in the last few years. So you can't take anything for granted, but this is probably now the floor to where this program should be going forward.
I mean, damn, we had a show after Middle Tennessee State. Like we had to come out here and talk after Middle Tennessee State. I don't remember what we said, but we had to come out here and say stuff. It's not easy. This is a hell of a lot easier. Steve-O, final thoughts for the people.
I mean, we made the playoffs, baby. I'm happy. Let's get it. I can't stop thinking about it, honestly. I think we stand a good chance, and I think this is just great for us. I mean, we're in the postseason again, or not again for the first time. To be honest with you, the Dolphins are playing well. The Canes are in the playoffs. It's just lovely times out here. I think more money is going to get even more put into this roster. I know you could think that, hey, we're kind of topping out. We're because we are. We're definitely paying good money for the players we have. But more commitment from the revenue share, because we're about to get our first taste of that big incentivized ACC deal. Thank you for FSU and Clemson's lawyers for getting for us. So
Yeah, for making us all that money.
yeah, I think Canes fans, you're going to see, instead of making the $45 million, we might make close to $65-70 million without even counting, just straight off all the playoff money. I mean, if you make it all the way, obviously it's going to be more, but we're going to touch more money than we've ever touched. And with, us being able to dip into that revenue share to pay some of these players, that's going to help. We don't have to continue to count on only outside sources for money, even though we have plenty of those. I mean, it's just better that the school is able to invest on its own as well to make it an even stronger entity.
Beautiful to see. It's a great time, guys, and we have 9 days to enjoy this. Like really, these 9 days, enjoy it. Go on, open up your Twitter account, talk some trash, go on Reddit, make fun of people that didn't make it, throw some things at Notre Dame. Really enjoy this time. Enjoy these next 9 days, because we're one of those final 12. And everyone that's sitting there got a fighting shot to win this thing. So win a couple games, have more people talking, and then put ourselves in a great position. Thank you guys for tuning in for the show. We appreciate you guys tuning in with us every single Wednesday night. Thank you to everybody over at CanesInSight. We'll see if D-Money will fly us out for the game at Texas A&M. That honestly, at that point, you might as well just leave us over there for that next 11 days. And just pay for the hotel. Why fly us back out for the Cotton Bowl? That'd be crazy. So maybe give us a nice 2-week vacation out in Texas. What's the weather like in Texas right now?
It's probably chilly.
But what's chilly? Because your chili and my chili are a little different, Steve-O. Your chili is like 72.
Nah, my chili's like 50s.
Let's see. Who knows? It's probably easier if I just wait for the chat to answer it. But what's it like in Texas right now?
It's 53 degrees right now in College Station.
Yeah, it's chilly. It's not cold, but nice. That's hoodie weather.
Let me pull up the 10-day. We're playing on the 20th. It's supposed to be 76.
Oh, hell yeah. Ooh, and it's a noon game regardless, though.
Miami weather.
So the sun will be out. They got to be hydrated, though, boy, because Texas do got some dry-ass air. You got to bring some chapstick, my boy.
It's mad brick in Boston right now. Yeah, it's Boston, man.
16 degrees. Yeah.
Cold up there, dude. Yeah. Anyway, but appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in for the show. Next week, we go into great depth talking about Texas A&M and the matchup Miami has and where Miami can exploit it, just in case the coaches wanted to tune in and watch and learn some things from Steve-O and be mad at the negativity that Bill brings to the table. And maybe listen to my prediction, because I believe I won the championship this year. So listen to see what I say, because maybe things will work out. But anyway, for Bill, Steve-O, my name is Chris. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the show. We will see you again next week right here on 3 Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, but he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players.